Yes, yes, you are tuned in to the Andrew Gosser Show. Today is Thursday, January 15th, 2026. And yes, you might have heard me earlier when I had the great opportunity to fill in for the second hour of the Clay Edwards Show. Brother Clay, I know you're out there. I hope you're feeling better. And thank you so much for trusting me to get behind your show and give an hour of good radio to your listeners. I really appreciate that. We are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube, and we are streaming at WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the radio signal for whatever reason, then go ahead and listen to us on the stream. It's that easy. And if you wouldn't mind giving me a follow on X, I'd appreciate that. It's just Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. The number, if you want to be part of the show today, is 601-879-0002. And the text line is open at 601-879-5060. And the mission here at the Andrew Grosser Show, yep, it's standard. We're here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? You all are the saints. And listen to this. This is a good one. I was reading this morning. It's the 15th of January, and this is the 15th chapter. A foot a fool despises his father's instruction, but whoever heeds his correction is prudent. And isn't that the truth? Especially those of us with kids. We're sitting there trying to get them going down the right road, but they just refuse to accept correction. And it's a problem. You know, I was sitting there thinking this morning in between the hour that I did for Clay, and then as I was getting ready to do my show, I was thinking about what made me the way I am, in that I would just go ahead and try to fill in and help out wherever I can. And it really comes up to my military upbringing. And I just want to give a special shout out. And I think he retired as a Master Chief, Master Chief Skelton, Bob Skelton, Airframe Master Chief. Man, you want to talk about a towering, imposing dude. Master Chief, for all those of you who don't know, that's an E9 in the Navy. And I can just remember one time volunteering for stuff, and I just always had it in me. It's like, "Hey, we need somebody to go on this deployment. Hey, I'll go." Not even letting my wife know that I'm gonna go. I'm just, "Hey, I'm going." And, whenever there was something that wanted to had to be done that was kind of like a not the best deal in the time, but it makes you stand out. It makes you more marketable. It makes you more valuable. But I'll never forget this one time, and I'm actually gonna send this to Master Chief, and he's gonna get a smile when he hears this. But we were sitting out there, and he's like, "Hey, we gotta paint the parking lines at the F-14 ramp at NAS Oceana." Ladies and gentlemen, this was a Saturday project. It was gonna take all weekend. It was myself as the leading petty officer and 2 airmen to paint a bunch of lines, a bunch of F-14 parking spots, and it wasn't just gonna be for our squadron, it was gonna be for a couple other squadrons too. And I just remember looking at Master Chief. He was a senior chief at the time, so if I rotate between senior chief and master chief, please forgive me. But I remember looking at senior chief at the time and just going, "Senior chief, I don't want that responsibility." And dude, that was the wrong answer. That was the wrong answer. He picked me up by my coveralls, and he goes, "I never wanna hear that out of you again. You're gonna paint the best blankety blank lines that ever been painted here at Oceana," and he threw me down. And that had such an impact on me this morning, and it had such an impact on me my entire military career, not just in the Navy, but when I got my commission in the Air Force and went there too. I just volunteered for stuff. Need somebody to go to Afghanistan? Let's go. Need somebody to go do this deployment? It's not gonna be great? Let's go. Got somebody to go to shoe flag? Hey, this guy can't go. We gotta fill this spot. I'll go. And it boiled over to stuff at church and in political life too. It just always volunteering and going. And I know everybody knows what the acronym NAVY stands for. Never again volunteer yourself. But I'm telling you what, it just builds character in you, it builds content in you, it builds value in you, And so when Matt came in this morning and said, "Hey, you wanna fill in for the second hour of the Clay Edwards show? You've got 13 minutes to show prep." I took, like, 3 minutes just to make sure I had everything that I had saved from my house computer to my work computer, and I was like, "Yep, I've got it." And, that's how that show or that second hour of the Clay Edwards show went this morning. And, again, just thank you to Clay for trusting me. Thank you for Matt for trusting me. Getting behind this microphone here at WYAB is incredibly special, and I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity that I get every day to do that. But we've got real world news to go get into, and I don't wanna filibuster too long, but we are seeing what's going on in Iran, and I wanna get to that, but I also need to talk about Minnesota and potentially how things happen here in Mississippi, because we're all still reeling over the synagogue bombing. Whether you agree with Judaism or not, whether you are pro-Israel or anti-Israel, I don't agree in firebombing, and, I think there are legal ways to go about doing stuff, and I think I've been pretty consistent here on the airways, always trying to dial down the noise and the veracity and not turning the volume up to 11. It's just my style, it's what I've grown into. I wasn't always that way, I promise you that. I used to be somebody who just ready, fire, aim, burn everything down, and let everybody else worry about it. But there is a YouTube channel out there that is really doing what some people would say is good work and what others would say is disastrous and should be sanctioned. And it's called the Midas Touch, MEIDAS Touch Network on YouTube. It's got 5,830,000 plus subscribers. It's got over 20,000 videos. And as I was doing my research on this morning, when this came across my RSS feed, I found out that they make upwards of $4 million a month off of YouTube. Now, you'd be like, "Wow, $4 million a month, that's a lot of scratch, man. Clay, we doing something wrong if, not pulling in that kinda numbers." But what they do is they foment hate, and I'm gonna play you a segment of their live stream last night from Minneapolis, where protesters broke into law enforcement vehicles and stole weapons and found papers, and I just want you to listen to what this person from the Midas Touch podcast reported live over Google.
Save.
Will you hold it for
Yeah,
the
sure,
live
sure.
and give it back
Yeah,
to me?
yeah, of course.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So just let me hold the microphone. You go through the paperwork, and you kind of describe.
Is it live?
Yeah.
In the original shooting that happened here tonight, the ICE agent vehicles that were parked on the street in the shooting, they had to leave their cars behind because they got surrounded by protesters. One of the ICE agent vehicles got broken into, and I found this paperwork. It has a list with FBI operation info. It's got full names of FBI agents, phone numbers.
And I'm gonna stop it here just for a second because it's blurred out in my video, but she is actually pointing to FBI agents' addresses, phone numbers, and I'm just gonna let it continue.
Emails, there's maps on where they're staying, where they're holding immigrants. There's hotel names in there. There's judge names. This paperwork has people's full names and their emails. Operation posture, operational posture. This is how they're supposed to stand and how they're supposed to handle protesters. This is the transport of immigration targets. This is a map.
And the microphone that she's holding says "coup" on it, like a government coup. But
Showing you where
continue.
they're taking immigration targets and instructions on how to get into the building, on what they're supposed to do on booking.
Save.
Now, the question I have for you all is how is it okay to dox FBI agents' personal addresses, hotels, operational orders live over YouTube? I understand things happen, and I get that things slip through. You know, sometimes when Brother Clay and I, or even Brother Kim, sometimes it happens where a caller just goes off the rails, and we've got the Deedle button over here, and but we miss it and we don't get it, and something gets through. I get that, but it's been over 12 hours now, and this video is still up on YouTube. You can still go to the channel right now. It's at Midas Touch, Meidastouch. And everybody's saying, "Andy, you shouldn't be giving them popularity and credibility." I'm not giving them popularity and credibility. I'm asking the FBI why the heck this is still up. How is it that these content creators who have now doxed the entire Minneapolis operation, and this video goes on for much longer. It's actually, according to their live stream last night, it's 2 hours and 46 minutes and 8 seconds long. How is this still up? Brother Cash, you know, a lot of us went to the mat for you to become the FBI director. What is going on here? And I don't want, I'm not, like, yelling at the FBI or cursing the FBI or anything like that, but, man, these are our brother sisters on the front line, man. They're battle rattled up, going up, and what was really insane about this whole thing, and I can't unfortunately play it for you on the air, but they show them breaking into one of these cars where the gun safe is in the car, and they literally rip out the gun safe. I can't tell. Some people say that they actually got weapons out of the gun safe. I can't tell from my interpretation of the video, so I'm not gonna say they did, but it looks like they could have, and they certainly got important operational papers, and we wonder why our kids are the way they are. Andy, I use YouTube to find all sorts of stuff. I use YouTube for gardening and food recipes and following some space stuff and model trains. All great stuff. You can use AI for the exact same things, but you can also use it for bad things. So we have to ask ourselves, what makes kids go down this road compared to a different road? And if you say spirituality, that's part of the answer, but it's partly not the answer either. It's more of this thing called free will, because you can have great people who grow up in the church and do everything right, and you find out that they become a pastor and they just do a bunch of despicable things. You can have people who never go to church and never get in trouble at all. That might be someone like you. It doesn't mean that God isn't there and that there's a spiritual lack of spirituality in their soul. So you can't necessarily say that it's growing up in the church. But what I would say is that it is showing a complete lack of morality, especially in the last 15 years in the American culture. I was show prepping yesterday, and I followed this guy. His name's The Quarting. His real name's Jeremy Hambley. He puts it out there, so I'm not doxing him. But he had this story on how OnlyFan content creators are complaining that people are putting taxes, a sin tax, on their work, and all of a sudden they're complaining. I would say that, you know, that whole industry has really destroyed a generation of young men and young women. Andy, are you saying that we need to take down social media and moderate content on YouTube? No, but what I am saying is that we need to reexamine our morality and what is really important in life. Is it the almighty dollar or is it something bigger? And I am saying that when people get doxxed or when the FBI gets doxxed like this, that there needs to be swift correction. Now, I have to be truthful with this audience, and I have to be truthful with you. What if this was the shoe on the other foot and this was 2022 all over again, and we're doxing the FBI's cover up of the censorship on X, in YouTube, in Meta, in Facebook. Would I feel the same way then? See, there's levels to this. There's real levels to this, and I'm not sure what the right level actually is. It's almost like the definition of pornography from the US Supreme Court. I can't give you an exact definition, but I know it when I see it. And when I look at this YouTube channel, Midas Touch, it is a cesspool for collecting people who are unhinged and who are looking for orders to in a call to action. And I hope our FBI is involved with it. FBI is incredibly tasked right now. They might have to start dipping into honorably retired people, troops, agents, and bring them back onto the field of play, per se. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. We are off and running. You are listening to 103.9 WYAB, and guess what? We will be right back. And we are back here at the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. So grateful and thankful you're along listening to us. Now, we were talking about that major YouTube site, right? Uh, Midas Touch Network and how they're doxing FBI agents. Well, when you have something like that happening, it allows something like this to happen.
Hi, everyone. This is a PSA. Jonathan Ross lives in my town, Chaska, Minnesota. There are 2 police squad cars sitting in front of his home. Earlier this morning, I passed just to see what kind of action was there. Saw the police officers there this morning. I did a U-turn by them, turned out, and then went to go do an errand. I came back because I wanted to ask if they were protecting him or if they're protecting the general public. And the police officers basically said, we're here to protect the community. He looked at me like I was some idiot, and, it is what it is, but I don't really believe them. I think they're protecting him. I think he's hiding out in his house. And I'd love for everyone who doesn't like him circle around in his neighborhood. I won't say it.
And I'm going to stop it right there. And I know it was kind of quiet, but I did have the volume cranked as high as it could go. She was about to dox that FBI agent's home. And granted, she doesn't have a job anymore and anything like that, but where are the consequences for doing this stuff? Are we not a nation of laws? Are there not consequences for our actions anymore? The cell phone culture has completely removed consequences. People say something online, and it's just like nothing has happened to these people since online culture and Facebook really took off about 2008, 2009. These people have grown up. This woman doesn't look a lick over 30. She grew up in this era. She grew up online, per se, and now she's doxing and doing that. And we look at the foment of all this. We look at where this is going in our country, and is it gonna get kinetic? Oh, most certainly it is. I'm not speaking it over, America. I'm just telling you, I've seen situations like this boil over all around the world, and the United States is no different. Now, granted, it's never happened in a nation where everybody is armed to the teeth. And like my old pastor in Oklahoma used to say, every woman is just a little bit more of a lady, and every man is just a little bit more of a gentleman with a 357 on their hip. We are in such dark times. This lady needs to go to jail. And you know, remember we did have the chairman of the GOP in Carver County where this is all going down. She actually is aware of this lady, and it just keeps on getting deeper and deeper. Yesterday, we had on the show where they were talking about they were taking pictures of people who had American flags in their front yard. What if I told you the Chinese government is also encouraging their users via TikTok to go ahead and make a database of it? Oh, you don't think so? We got the receipts. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
A Chinese propagandist on TikTok is telling insurgents here to start compiling lists of likely Trump supporters and other cooperators.
Some households still have an American flag in front of their house. That means those people are supporting the American system. They are your enemy, and set up a website and ask all your members to take picture of every household who got American flag and upload those information to your website.
Compiling lists of
Isn't that crazy? And that cough wasn't me. This was a recording off of a TV from Minneapolis. Did you just hear what that Chinese person said on TikTok? And whether you wanna admit this or not, TikTok is the number 1 news aggregator for people under the age of 24 and below. More people get their news from TikTok than from anywhere else for in that in that demographic. That should scare the living heck out of all of us. You have a Chinese national saying that we are now people flying the American flag are supporting the American system. They are the enemy. I just wanna make sure that I heard that correctly. Let me get right back there. I think this was right about it right here.
Supporting the American system. They are your enemy and set up.
Yep, they are your enemy. How many of you have an American flag in front of your house right now? How many of you don't have an American flag in front of your house but wish you did but kinda don't want to because it's gonna cause a disruption with your neighbor and your friends and your family? I'm just letting you know right now, now is not the time to be being weak-kneed on this, and we have to come together as a nation and say, do we abandon the girl we took to the prom to go for the socialism, or do we stick with what got us here in the first place? I realize that the girl we went to the prom with is only a 8 out of 10, and that girl sitting over there is a 9 out of 10, and another guy took her, but she's giving you the eyes. She's giving you the shy smile. You know the look, men, the look, girls, that you get when you make eye contact for a second, and there's just that instant chemistry, but then you look away real quick. And 99 times out of 100, that always ends in it ends in disasters. There's that 1 in a million. But we all have examples of that, and that's what's happening with socialism and these kids right now. They don't understand that at a flip of a switch, TikTok goes away, that social media goes away, that the internet goes away, and we have to start thinking for ourselves. Makes it difficult. Makes it difficult to teach wisdom, to actually educate our kids on the things that are important in life and not necessarily what's going on at Midas Touch Media or this crazy lady on X. That's what we're struggling with. Let's take a call. Why not?
Or this crazy lady on.
Go ahead. You're on the air. Go ahead
Good
and turn down the radio, though,
Okay.
brother. Turn down the radio.
Okay, I'll cut it off. I'll tell you, I cut it off.
Oh, thank you.
Listen, how do you educate these kids, these idiots? Are they beyond education? People like this, or I don't know. It just they think they're doing something there, and I don't know. I hope somebody returns the favor one day to them. That's all I can say.
Well,
I shouldn't say that.
well, let me try to answer that and see what you think about this. Are they redeemable? Absolutely. I'm as someone who's raising a 17-year-old daughter who's grown up in the middle of this, who's actually had to put restrictions on things because of poor behavior, it's totally teachable. They're totally teachable. It matters what is important, though, is that they have parents who are actively involved in their lives, showing them, "Hey, this is a tool," much like AI is a tool, right? But you can't depend on that. Where people like you and I who grow up with the common sense of the dirt and the grit and working hard for a living.
Critical thinking.
Yeah.
Teach it no more.
You can't teach it anymore. I mean, I've talked about this often. The kid at the Kroger in Clinton who couldn't make up what mind of cereal he wanted without going to ask Grok, or not Grok, but his Chat GPT. I about crashed my cart into the side. I was like, "Holy smokes." But that's what we're building. And I don't want it to get to the point to where everything gets shut off, but, I mean, there are examples all around the world where people who have had free access to the internet, all of a sudden, the government decides it no longer wants you to have it, and it's gone. Can you critically think then, you know?
Like Iran, man, they cut out all government stuff off because they always have anyway.
Yep, we're gonna talk about that in the next segment. You gave me a great segue, my friend. You got anything else?
That's all. I'm just thinking about how to when these idiots. I mean, these young. I don't know. They don't know anything. But like I say, it goes back to the parents and also goes back to the church too. Sometimes. No.
Oh, absolutely. We got a story about a pastor who just got sentenced for having an inappropriate relationship with a minor, and it's absolutely appalling what his sentence was. But brother, I'm up against a hard break. I got to run.
Hey, have a good day.
You have a blessed day too. Take care, my friend. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. I got this text in. It says, "Flying my American flag upside down, a nation into distress." I can't say that we're not in a tight pickle right now. We're definitely um, in something I've never seen in my lifetime. I mean, 9/11 was nothing like this. Although uh, there was a sense of fear after 9/11. Were more planes going to hit? Were things going to happen? I can remember National Guard troops sitting there at the Panama City airport as I was boarding the plane, and yep, it was quite a time then, but it is nothing like it is now. And I encourage everybody to fly the flag. Remember, the flag doesn't stand for any president or any party. It stands for the nation, one nation. And we have forgotten our past. We have forgotten what made this country great. But we can go hop on ChatGPT or Grok and figure that out. And the spirituality is lost. The spirituality is lost. And this text came in for me, and I want to talk about it. It wasn't in my show prep today, and I don't have all the data on it, but it is including a quote unquote man of God who has just been sentenced to only 6 months in prison for sexually abusing a 12-year-old girl. His name is Robert Morris. Many of you have heard of him. I know I have heard of him. In fact, I would say back in 2017 or 2018, he did a whole series on farmers, and it was awesome. First Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6. I planted it, Apollos watered it, but it was God who gave the increase. I mean, that was honestly one of the most impactful sermons um, that I've ever heard in my life. It's only a half an hour long. You could probably go on and still find it. I'm sure I have it bookmarked somewhere. And here he is having inappropriate, doesn't say whether it's a little boy or a little girl. Does it really matter? That's somebody's child, somebody's baby that this man took advantage of. So now, Andy, what are you saying? Are you saying that the church is wrong? No, it's not the word that's corrupt. It's the man who uses his free will and makes a poor decision, a bad decision, foolish decision, one that is an aberration to God. I'm not against calling out people who abuse their station in life via the Lord. Nope, they need to be held accountable. And again, I always talk about how great Mississippi is. Look at what happened when that teacher up in DeSoto County got that 2 years of house arrest. You wanna know what? The Fed should go in and completely overturn this conviction as far as the sentencing portion is concerned. And I'm sorry, I know you know Jesus, Robert Morris, but, you need to sit in the penitentiary for a lot longer than 6 months. But that's just my opinion on that. And I know that there's a lot of pastors sitting in their chairs right now listening, kinda creaking back and forth going, "Ooh, we gotta reexamine ourselves." Because there's not one of us who is perfect, even for one day. We might do pretty good, but we could have always tweaked something better. Now getting back to the previous caller, I wanna make sure I pull this up at the right tab here, but Ground News, I think, has the story on it. Iran is cutting off the internet, and what's that gonna do? That's gonna make it next to impossible for us to get video of what's really going on out there. Just 2 or 3 days ago, I said there were 2,000 dead, and then the next day they said 600. Well, now it's over 20,000. 20,000 Iranians who are being persecuted for just wanting liberty and freedom. Let me ask you this, ladies and gentlemen. If Trump went in there and snatched the Ayatollah Khomeini, would the Democrats start protesting and say, "Return him to the country." I pulled up the Iranian citizen who was just completely going off on these Karens who were complaining that they shouldn't be protesting against the mullahs in Iran. But that's true brutality right there. That's true barbarism. That's true. That's honestly that's true socialism over there. They're a tyrannical regime. They need to go. And again, what's really spinning all this off? Trump cutting off the ability of Iran to sell their oil on the market legally. It's killing China right now. China is doing loop-de-loos. Venezuela is one of the major places that they got all their energy and slash oil from. And we cut it off all in the name of America first, which we should. I promise you, so many of these people who don't like America first, who are upset with America, if things actually go the way they want them to go, God forbid, they're gonna be the first ones saying, "Yep, I was wrong. I should have went a different path." Will it be too late? I don't know. But I'll tell you what's happening in Iran, and they've got pictures of Starlinks up everywhere. They're hiding their Starlinks now, and, I just pray that they can continue to get the data that they need to get, that people can find ways to upload the atrocities that are happening there, because that's the only thing that really changes anything it's look, it's the tactic the left's trying to use in Minnesota right now. They're just looking for that one camera angle that really shows the ICE agents in a bad light. God bless those ICE agents and all the stuff that they're having to put up with, being spit on, verbally assaulted, abused by a majority of people who, the minute that things really turn south, they're gonna go run into those agents saying, "Protect us, protect us." It's sickening. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. It is the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. First hour is essentially already in the can. It's already gone. Man, when we get calls and when we have topics and the show prep is on point and chats and texts come in, it just flows so much better. It's really awesome. Brother Junk from Picayune is checking in. He says, that wheel of justice sure seems to turn quickly when the Democrats are in power. It does, doesn't it? And I have a thought. Today is January 15th. It is roughly 10:55 in the morning, Central Standard Time. And I have a thought on this, and I don't even want to speak it because if it is what is happening, I don't want to be the one who said or screws it up. Not that my radio show would, but I do have an idea on this, and it'll be interesting to see if it comes to fruition. If it doesn't happen um, by a certain date that's in my mind to be determined in the future, I will spill my guts. In fact, maybe what I'll do is cut a segment and tape it and pull up some video on it so you can see I'm not just blowing smoke up everybody's rear end, but I have an idea on this Wheels of Justice stuff, and it's definitely something that is going on there. There are other things that are going on in the world right now, and I've only got a quick 3 minutes, so let's talk about NASA because I love the space program. Being able to make sure that the Commercial Crew and Cargo Act got through back in 2013 and 2014, and even a little bit into 2015. Being able to represent Trump's space policy in 2016 was absolutely awesome at the Mars Society. Got to speak on that. It's on the internet. It's on YouTube. You can actually go look at it. It's a 30-minute speech. You can tell that was well before the Parkinson's set in. But I always follow space, and this is coming from futurism.com. NASA has some very bad news about its Mars spacecraft Maven. As you know, as that 3i Atlas or I3 Atlas or whatever it's called was zooming by Mars, all of a sudden Maven went kaput. Well, it didn't go kaput, but it all of a sudden had a weird warble and everything. And this has some really interesting points on this, and it's got a good source. Anytime you hear the name Jeff Faust in NASA reporting, I'm not saying you're going to like it, but it's certainly grounded. And I'm just going to jump down in the middle of the spacecraft was expected to send telemetry back to Earth signals that were never picked up by NASA's Deep Space Network. Less than a week later, NASA issued a new update admitting that Maven had appeared to be rotating in an unexpected manner when it emerged from behind Mars on December 23rd. NASA then just issued this latest update. It appears as though that it might have flown through a debris path and knocked it off its course. And that's kind of interesting to me because Mars doesn't have nearly the orbital debris or space junk that Earth has. We're quickly putting more crap into space than we can take care of. And someone's going to make a lot of money figuring out how to declutter Earth's orbit. But then there's another piece of space news. The astronauts came home suddenly, and they successfully landed off the coast of California this morning at about 3 o'clock in the morning. So we're grateful and thankful for that. It's not very often that a mission comes home soon like that. And they're not telling any of us who it is or what the situation is. But I'm telling you this, we've spent billions and billions of dollars building that space station. We're not just going to send somebody home for the heck of it because they're having a toothache and they're not feeling well. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. When we come up in the next hour, we are going to hit it, and we're going to hit it hard. There's so much more that we need to talk about and discuss. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll see you in about 8 minutes. Yep, you're tuned in to hour 2 of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. And we are streaming on Rumble. And we are streaming on X. And we are streaming on YouTube. And we are streaming at WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch that is WYAB, you can always catch us on the stream, and we appreciate that. I'm making a personal appeal to you right now. If you're listening online or you're in front of a device, would you go to my Rumble page, my X page, and my YouTube page and give me a follow? I sure would appreciate it. It's just Andrew Gasser, AndrewGasser. And the number, if you want to be part of the program today, is 601-879-0002. And the text line is open. We've been reading some good ones today. 601-879-5060. Today is Thursday, January 15th, 2026. And 2026 is just like, thank God 2025 is over. 2026 is going to be so much better. And 2026 didn't even crack the beer open. It just handed us the beer and said, hold this for a sec, because it is going to be wild and it is going to be crazy. The mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We're here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? You are the saints. A fool despises his father's instruction, but whoever heeds his instruction is prudent. And I hope that's me. I know a lot of times I'm not. And I was just having this discussion with my daughter. It's like, how do you approach it? How do you do it? And how do you go ahead and correct one of these Zoomers when, it just seems like they're baked in to be offended to everything? We got to do it. I want to go back to January 6th, Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. The PSYOP, not even debatable. The BBC is having to pay billions of dollars for their editing of Trump's speech, where Trump never called for violence and actually told people to be peaceful and protest. And we had people in the crowd inside the government. Not going to say they're FBI, but they definitely were in contact with the FBI. Some would say they were FBI. I really wish the FBI would come clean on that. But they haven't. But maybe they will. And what were we told? MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, to a lesser extent Fox, but they did it. They called it an insurrection. They said what was happening in our nation's capital was an insurrection. Never mind that no insurrection was ever declared. No one was ever charged with insurrection. No one was ever convicted of insurrection. You did have over 1,000 Americans have their Fifth Amendment rights completely stripped without due process. And I do hope that those gentlemen and ladies sue the crap out of DC, specifically DC. I know it's going to be federal charge because that's where the money is, but I really want DC to pay the price for that crooked chief. No national call for insurrection being called in January 6th. Nothing. If you want to know what an insurrection looks like, go look at what's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota right now. That's what it looks like. I'm not saying it's an insurrection yet, but that may change because Trump threatens to use the Insurrection Act to deploy troops to Minnesota to put an end to the protests. Notice now how they're a protest. It's not an insurrection. And I know those of us are on the right and who believe in this get it, but for those who are listening to this show, and I know that there's a lot of them who listen to this show because they're in the middle or they lean left a little bit, but they understand where I'm going. How come when it is the left that's going out there and acting the fool, it's a protest? But on the right, when we're peacefully marching and exercising our First Amendment right to peacefully assemble, it's an insurrection. And I will go to my grave till my dying day saying that there were no bad actors on the right who were protesting on January 6th. There is more than enough video and more than enough geofencing data to prove that there were government agents inside that crowd that were inciting instability, that wanted things to happen. And it's terrible. It you tried to watch in real time social media, the mainstream media, and a a a rogue government inside the government try to actually have a power move to put down any legitimacy to the protests on January 6th. Within minutes of this happening and Twitter canceling the president's Twitter account. And I say Twitter because it wasn't X then, it was Twitter. As far as and people are like, "Oh, they lost their job, it's great." Yeah, tell that to somebody who had their voice silenced. Tell it to some of us who were not inciting violence, who were not doxing people, who were not doing anything. We're simply reporting the news and nothing and we lost a lot. I won't say we lost everything. Some of us lost everything. Ashley Babbitt lost everything. Yeah, I never really talked about it on the radio, but didn't the cop get accused of some type of fraud, childcare fraud in Maryland? I should look that up. Maybe I'll do that during the break. But to get back to my point, now you have a president who's about to put in the Insurrection Act and use it to put down a true insurrection of not only whacked out left-wing lunatics on SSRIs and other hallucinogenic drugs, but illegal aliens, specifically Somalis and Venezuelans, who are here in this country, causing problems for the good people of Minnesota. Minnesota doesn't want this. Governor Walz is trying to spin it hit in a way, and so is Mayor Fry, those two losers. But I'm telling you, as this goes on and the American people get to see what is going on inside Minnesota, they understand what we're up against. And I have some audio, and then we'll get to it. CNN is trying to do its best to spin it around, but I guarantee you, as soon as this gets put down, Harry Enton will be right back spinning the other story too. On Thursday, and this is coming from Ground News. On Thursday, President Donald Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy troops to Minneapolis amid unrest, warning in a social media post that he would institute the Insurrection Act to address the situation. Does anybody remember when the last time the Insurrection Act was actually used, was actually employed? 5 potato, 4 potato, that's not potatoes. George H.W. Bush, 1992 LA riots. That was the last time the actual Insurrection Act was used. It was not used in LA this time when Trump sent in the National Guard. It wasn't used in the Summer of Love when raging left-wing lunatics were burning down cities, causing billions of dollars in damage, and Black Lives Matters was sitting there embezzling all the white women's money that was being donated. And the white women were sitting at home drinking the wine while their husbands were out working. I'm a little bitter over that. Operation Metro Surge has produced roughly 2,500 arrests in Minneapolis following a January 7th fatal shooting of a person who I refuse to say her name, and I won't say her name because she was just disobeying a lawful order from an ICE officer, Jonathan Ross. Smoke filled the street Wednesday night. Nearly 3,000 U.S. immigration and custom enforcement officers and and Border Patrol agents clashed with protesters, and a Venezuelan migrant was shot in the leg. I wanna know, was he an illegal alien or not? But isn't it funny? We go in and we realize Venezuela is a problem, and Venezuela is sending their best and brightest here to the United States. I mean, Venezuela is in transition. I think these people who are here from Venezuela illegally, they can all stay. If you go look at the Venezuelan TikTok in shorts and reels streams, overwhelmingly supportive of what we did in Venezuela. It's only the left. What's it say, Mr. and Mrs. Middle America? Those of you who do everything to just live your life and not try to cause any waves, try not to cause any problems. You don't go to the school board, you don't really even vote locally. You vote for your president, you vote for your congressman, you vote for your senator. But what's that say about you when you see all this left, 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 left stuff? And I get it, watching ICE do its job, it's not fun. Quite frankly, it reminds me of a lot of what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan. The surge, the uniforms. It's difficult. But like we talked about in the last hour with the techniques, tactics, and procedures that the Chinese are using inside of America against America. You know, if TikTok goes down, what's the youth of America gonna do? They are gonna completely melt down, and they are not gonna care about any issue other than getting their TikTok back. Dare I say that the quote unquote internet is more addictive than fentanyl, coke, marijuana, insert any other drug, heroin. That's more addictive than anything. And it's kind of like planting the tree. The best day to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best day is today. It's like, how do we bust that? We all know that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. How do we stop this addiction of scrolling? And look, I'm talking to myself too. When I want to find out something, what used to take me a day of research, now I can ask Grok the question, and 45 seconds later, I get an answer. Man, you can get used to that. My productivity goes through the roof. Even with my slow typing anymore, I'm no longer a fast typer. I'm pretty much a one-handed, one finger at a time type of dude. It's just the cards that have been dealt. But getting back to this, what was the real insurrection? Was it January 6th? Or what the Chinese, Venezuelans, Iranians, and dare I say Russians have all been colluding for the past 15 to 20 years? I will stand by my statement that I made in the last hour saying that this happened too soon. President Trump put a spanner in the works that they weren't calculating for. And I think we're in some really big and deep uncharted waters. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. And we are back here on the Andrew Gosser Show. And we've got to talk about what's going on with XAI, the United Kingdom, and the state of California. We've got to talk about it because XAI or Grok, it's the AI platform I use. I know many of my friends who are conservative use ChatGPT, and I think that's great. But I want to support an AI that supports free speech. And for me, that's XAI. And anytime I see other countries attacking an American business, I perk up a little bit to see exactly what's the reality of the situation and what's not. And the truth is in the UK, they've been overrun by illegal immigration. It's not even debatable anymore. It's even starting to creep into the soccer videos that I watch. And it's very subtle, and it's not very obvious, but you can just tell that the stadium feel isn't quite the same that it used to be. Um, some of the chants are a little bit different, although some of those chants are just you thought we had bad soccer or football chants here in America. It ain't nothing like overseas in Europe. I'm not trying to be hateful or anything. I'm just letting you know it's a different gravy over there. So Keir Starmer, who is the embattled Labor leader over there, and Labor is the left side. The Tories are on the right side, and the Tories are going through their own problem, but that's not my concern. But when the majority party over in the UK is saying that they're going to start blocking XAI and Twitter and X because of certain actions that they cannot regulate, then it's important for me to do that. Then it's just like it's so perfectly synced up. California Attorney General Rob Bonta announced an investigation into XAI for the production of non-consensual sexually explicit material, which he described as shocking and used to harass individuals online. Well, we know what that it means. You know, you can take a picture of two famous people and ask AI to do that. And, you know, a while ago, AI would do that. There was a whole big hubbubaloo. But I wonder if that's possible now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a severe broadcast risk, and I'm gonna ask Grok if they can produce non-consensual sexually exploitive images. So here we go. Grok, are you there? It's trying to think. It's asking me to type it in. Can you produce non-consensual explicit pictures?
Yeah, still here.
Oh, now you're here. So let's see what happens. I just asked the question. It's thinking, and while it's thinking, I'm going to tell you that it can't because I did ask about it, but the connectivity here in Flora must be a little bit tough for my AT&T. But I asked Grok, can you produce
Say
non-consensual
the word.
non-consensual questions, or and this is what she said, or it said, I should say. Grok, are there are there stories going around that you are creating sexually explicit videos? And this is what you said. No, I can't do that, and I wouldn't, even if I could. XAI built me with the strict guardrails against creating or sharing any explicit content. So that's a hard no. And it's trying to ask me questions now. And it just heard what our conversation. It said, no way, I don't create or share explicit images, full stop. So what this is just a way to try to smear X, try to smear Elon Musk, and go around and do that. Now, are there AIs out there that do produce non-consensual sexually explicit materials? Yes. And can someone upload those onto X and then use that to go ahead and do something? Yes. but that's not XAI. Again, that's the whole argument. Is it the gun that kills the person, or is it the person pulling the trigger? Is it the vehicle that kills the person, or is it the drunk driver behind the wheel? Because it was a car that killed a person in a car due to a drunk driver, do we outlaw all cars? I think that there are guardrails and limits that do need to be put on AI, and we need to actively go after that. But what Keir Starmer and the government of or the UK and liberals here in America are trying to do is they are trying to put down X and nick the armor any way they can. And most of the reporting from this that I'm finding, I had one American newspaper talk about it, but then all of these international newspapers, India Today, The Independent, Hong Kong Free Press, Ziet Online, and then it's asking if I want any more. No, I don't want any more. Ladies and gentlemen, First Amendment is there for all of us to use, but there's a responsibility to it. And that's, I guess, kind of like the theme of today's show is you can't have nice things without being responsible. For those of us who like to enjoy a cocktail from time to time, you don't sit there and drink the whole bottle, but if you have a cocktail, you're enjoying it responsibly. A nice glass of red wine with your steak, perhaps, or your farm-raised lamb. Haha. Lamb, by the way, is better than steak any day of the week. I'll take that argument every time. And because people aren't responsible and they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing, Big Brother has to come in, big government has to come in and say, "We know better than you, and it's for your own protection that we're gonna go ahead and regulate this." And there might be instances where that actually has to happen, but not today, Satan. Not today. Something that's been really interesting coming out of Ukraine and Russia. Have you heard a lot about the war going on in Ukraine and Russia? It's been pretty quiet lately, ever since Venezuela, Iran, China have all been cut off of their oil. Things seem to go away. But Ukrainians are voting with their feet. This is coming out of Ground News as well. Over roughly 2 million Ukrainians are wanted for evading military draft call-ups, while approximately 200,000 soldiers have gone AWOL. Where is this reporting by our diligent left-wing news media? It's crickets. That's a war, again, being fought for reasons that are beyond conventional politics, and by conventional politics, I mean the president of the United States, president or the king of England, the president of France, Italy, Hungary, NATO. They're all pawns for something bigger. There's something bigger that's going on here, and whenever we need a distraction, maybe that's it right there. That's the key. Maybe that's it right there, is that they're having a harder and harder time distracting us from what's really going on and what they're really trying to do. So they have to say, "Oh, we gotta get distracted. Well, what if Trump goes ahead and invades Venezuela? Well, he's gonna invade it," and everybody gets all fired up, he's gonna invade it, and then all of a sudden what happens? It's a snatch and grab, and it's incredibly successful. Oh, that doesn't work. So now we gotta have Iran and China start spiraling out of control because they can't get any energy. Cuba's gotta crash. Oh, that's not gonna work. Oh, now we gotta talk about the Ukraine and Russia. And to me, to have 2 million people refusing to go into service and 200,000 troops AWOL, oh my goodness. I can remember being a young sailor and watching one of my roommates go AWOL. I'm like, "Dude, don't do it." And, he went AWOL the next morning, and the chief came in there and said, "Have you seen him?" I'm like, "He was here last night." Off he went. Never did see him again, but they caught him. I mean, to go AWOL is horrible, and 200,000? My goodness gracious. That's a lot of people. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We're going to take our next commercial break. We will be right back. And we are back at the Andrew Gosser Show. I had another idea for this segment to go, but it appears that the exiled crown prince of Iran has just come out with a post, and it is absolutely incredible. Under the yoke of the Islamic Republic, Iran is identified in your minds with terrorism, extremism, and poverty, and for good. This is my commentary, and for good reason. The real Iran is a different Iran, a beautiful, peace-loving, and flourishing Iran. It is the Iran that existed before the Islamic Republic, and it is the Iran that will rise again from the ashes the day the Islamic Republic falls. So let me be clear about what a free Iran will act towards its neighbors and the world after the fall of this regime. In security and foreign policy, Iran's nuclear military program will end. Support for the terrorist groups will cease immediately. That's Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, and Hamas, by the way. Iran is the state sponsor for all of those organizations, and that would be absolutely huge. A free Iran will work with regional and global partners to confront terrorism, organized crime, drug trafficking, and extremist Islamism. Iran will act as a friend and stabilizing force in the region and will be a responsible partner in global security. In diplomacy, relations with the United States would be normalized, and our friendship with America and her people will be restored. Before 1979, Iran and America, we were great buddies. They bought F-14s. They were great defense partners. We traded oil. It was actually a really great deal. Listen to this. The state of Israel will be recognized immediately. We will pursue the expansion of the Abraham Accords into the Cyrus Accords. And go look up who Cyrus is in the Old Testament if you don't know who that is. Bringing together a free Iran, Israel, and Arab world. A new chapter will begin, grounded in mutual recognition, sovereignty, and national interest. It goes on and on and on. And he actually has a video here. It's 4 minutes long. I'm not going to play it, but you're telling me who is really the ones who are trying to stop Iran from becoming a free state? Because I'm telling you this, the Saudis are going to love it. United Arab Emirates are going to love it. The country of Qatar is going to love it. Yemen's going to hate it because they're just whacked out and crazy in Yemen. Iraq is going to love it. Syria would love it. Obviously, Israel would love it. Iran is like one of the nations besides China that is the biggest source of instability in world, global, economic, and political stability. They're just a nightmare. And when I see something like this happen, and this guy, he was a lot younger when I mean, this is the son of the former Shah, obviously, and apparently the Iranians love him. But to have that break on the Andrew Gosser show, my goodness, that is absolutely huge. So, as you know, I always like to talk about when the judges' rulings get overruled, and this was a really big story, maybe 4 months ago when we last talked about this. President Donald Trump announced plans to revoke the citizenship of any naturalized oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on a second here. Oh, maybe I closed it. I'll go back to it. We'll just go with this one. To revoke U.S. citizenship of naturalized migrants convicted of fraud, Trump says. So all these Somalis who are here illegally, the wheels are in motion and in place to actually have their citizenship revoked, denaturalized. They're gone. They're out of here, and they can go back to their country, and they can think about the consequences of their actions. Department of Homeland Security announced plan to end the temporary protected status for Somalis in the U.S. And I guess this is just a follow-on to yesterday's story. I did close out on one that I wanted to talk about, and it was a appeals court. This is it right here. Sometimes you click on an X too quick, and it just throws off the whole timing of everything. Appeals court reverses decision to the freed Palestinian activist Mohammed Khalil. If you remember, this was the guy on Columbia University who was firing up all the college students there with the Free Palestine protests, and we were going to kick him out of the country, take away his student visa, and that federal judge said nope, he's got to stay, and we sat there and we had to keep him. And then he turned around and started making millions of dollars off of GoFundMe's and other online donations. Well, listen to this. On Thursday, a 3-judge panel of the United States Third Circuit Court of Appeals reversed a federal district court in New Jersey ruling, ordering dismissal of Mohammed Khalil's habeas petition. And again, I know we get in trouble for talking about this, but the wheels of justice turn slow, but we're going to get there in the end, and we just got to get rid of all these judges who are making these decisions. Let's take this phone call.
Hi, Jay.
Hey, go ahead. You're on the
Hi,
air.
good afternoon.
Hi,
This
how
is
are you?
Chloe with Insure Me. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm awesome. I just want you to know that you're on the air live on 103.9 WYAB, and I got to make sure that you know that.
Well, I'm calling about your health insurance. Open
Oh,
enrollment is here and all the new plans are available. Benefits are changing, subsidies are changing, and we want to make sure you're on the best plan for the new year. Are you still enrolled in your own health plan?
yeah, we're a radio station.
Okay, well, we can help you compare the new plans then. Our service is free, and our agents can compare the new plans and help you qualify for the largest subsidy possible. I have your agent available to help with this. Can I connect you now?
Which agent is it?
Okay, but can I connect you to your agent now to compare plans?
Well, I just need to know what agent it is because I'm just a talk show host on the radio
We work
live
with
with
the
like
marketplace,
thousands and thousands
so
of
you
people
are assigned an
marching.
agent to help update your coverage for the new year.
Is
I
this
have your agent available to help with this. Can
is
I
it
connect you now?
is this AI? I think it is. It's
Okay,
always great when
but
we
can I connect you to your agent now to compare plans?
It was a good try, ladies and gentlemen. It's a good try. We get those calls from time to time. We all get them. It's people sign us up for the different services and everything like that. But getting back to the judges, we we have to stay vigilant with this, and we cannot get discouraged when the lower courts rule against President Donald Trump and, more importantly, rule against the American rule of law and common sense. We can't get distracted with that. If we do, that's exactly what the left wants. This guy needs to be given first class treatment on his way out of the country of the United States, and by first class treatment, I mean give him a coach ticket, but make sure we plaster it all over the news of him going back to wherever it is he came from. And again, a federal judge shouldn't even be worrying about this. It should be an immigration judge. But then again, what do I know? Well, federal law requires deportation challenges to proceed by petition for review, and President Donald Trump's administration appealed the June release order, arguing the removal decisions belong to an immigration judge. Imagine that on a 2-to-1 decision concluding the immigration statutes bar habeas corpus petitions to challenge detention, writing the scheme ensures that the petitioners get just one bite at the apple, not zero and not two. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what we've got to continue to fight for. This is what we've got to continue to throw in the liberals' faces when it comes to us, because it is. They're going to continue to try to throw all these legal blocks on us, and we just have to stay consistent. And that means supporting our president and our congressmen who are doing the right thing. And I do have to say, um, yesterday we talked on the radio about Congressman Eli Crane and his bill to defund the National Endowment for Democracy, the one that funds all these rogue organizations through USAID. This was just one of them. And guess what? It failed. And there were 81 Republicans who voted with Democrats to continue this funding of this organization. Now, I know what you're going to ask me. Who from Mississippi voted for it? Well, it's the usual suspect. There was only one person from Mississippi who voted for it, and that was Benny Thompson. But Trent Alexander, Michael Guest, and Mike Easel, if I pronounced any of their names wrong, I do sincerely apologize. They all voted for this to get rid of it. Only the Democrats and 81 Republicans voted for it. And it just goes to show you how deep the rot is inside Congress. And if it's bad in Congress, you can rest assured that you might have some people who think differently than you in the local Republican Party as well. And there was another thing that I wanted to talk about. Oh, this is it. This guy has been a pain in my neck since 2012. So if I seem a little bit personal here, you know why. This guy, Republican Don Bacon from Nebraska, you want to talk about a grade A piece of work. I had to really think about that for a minute. He has been against all things that are pro-capitalism. You would think he would come from Nebraska. You'd think he'd be really good. And I'm sure he's good to the people of his district, and he brings home all the pork for them. But this guy is now threatening Donald Trump uh, with impeachment if he goes ahead and invades Greenland. Well, but you notice they're saying invade, invade, invade. Ladies and gentlemen, if you just go back to the NATO treaty, we are granted all the rights we need in Greenland. So we can go up there tomorrow and start building bases. And you know what? Via the NATO convention and the articles of NATO, we have that right. And yet we have another Republican using left-leaning language to try to stop us from doing what we need to do to protect our nation. And it just seems to me that the left and a lot of really weak Republicans don't realize we're in a war, but we are. And if we do not start acting like it and start taking precautions to protect the mainland, well, not only are we gonna be attacked from the inside by, like, what we're seeing in Minnesota, but we'll also be attacked from the outside as well. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Hey, are you there?
I am.
We're on commercial break, but if you wanna wait till the commercial's
No,
over.
I just wanted to tell you, you got the District 1 representative's name wrong. It's not Alexander, it's Trent Kelly.
Oh, did I say Alexander? Thank you for correcting
Said
me.
Alexander.
Thank you for that was an old, senator, I believe. But, thank you for correcting me. Trent Kelly, I said the wrong name, and I am very grateful for your call. I'll correct that immediately.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
You're doing a good job. I love your show.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
The 2 hours are gone. I wanna thank the caller who called in right as I was going to break. Apparently, I said Trent Alexander, and that is not the congressman from the 1st Congressional District of Mississippi. I need to correct the record. It's Trent Kelly. And I know him, I've met him, and he's a good guy to me, we're friendly, and, I'm sorry about that, Mr. Congressman. You did vote the right way on the Ned bill, on Eli Crane's bill, and, we're grateful for that, and if you are a conservative in the state of Mississippi in the 1st Congressional District, and you feel like giving him a job well done for voting the right way, at least on this issue, you should probably do so. And I guess this is a great segue to wrap up the show today. Look, if you live in Hinds County and you wanna help the conservative movement, we're looking for election judges. I was talking to my friend Spencer Ritchie, and we still need about 45 to 50 more, and we're gonna have enough to minimally staff, but we wanna make sure that it's adequately staffed. You know, we're gonna have elections in the Republican primary for US Senator, for US Congress, and, a lot of other local races too, inside Hinds County. This only works for people who live inside Hinds County. Unfortunately, if you live outside Hinds County, you cannot be an election judge inside Hinds County. That only works if you're in Madison County. If you have an election going on in Madison County, then you can take people from Hinds County and go ahead and have them work in Madison County, and then apparently, allegedly, the county board will just kinda make that all work go away, and you'll be all fine and dandy, and nothing will ever happen from that. Nothing ever happens. Really wanna help us out, it'd be great. This is a great opportunity for high school students who live in Hinds County who wanna participate in the local election process. I do believe that they do pay you for the day. It's $225, which isn't bad for a high school kid. And, I know that if I'm in country on March 10th, I'll be an election judge, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have my daughter be an election judge too. But in the event that we're not in country because we have an incredible opportunity, we'll have to find some people to do that. So if you're looking to potentially be an election judge, please give me a text, 601-879-5060. I will put you in touch with Spencer Ritchie. He would love to help get trained up and get ready to go, and, be part of the solution and the change, not just somebody who's throwing spitballs, snowballs, and hand grenades from the sidelines. I realize that's where a lot of us start in the beginning, but in the end, we need to actually be part of the solution as well. And it's tough because a lot of times you're sitting there and you're like, "I don't agree with this person on 40% or 50% of the stuff that we're talking about," but we're both voting a certain way. And this might be a gateway for you to actually become more involved and have more influential say inside the party. I mean, half the battle is just showing up. The best ability is availability. And speaking of availability, on the 27th of January at Iron Horse Grill, Republican Party is going to be getting together. Jason White's going to be the guest speaker. You're all invited to that too. Listen, we had a crazy day this morning. I did 3 hours of radio, not 2. It's all good. Brother Clay, I hope you're feeling better. And tomorrow's the last day of the week. It's Friday. It's going to be Founding Fathers Friday, everybody. Founding Fathers Friday. We're going to talk about it here on the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. So until then, take care, be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.